Welcome. What is up? Thank you for tuning into Jim Roman's Burning. I've got a tremendous Friday show for you. After knocking out Portland on Wednesday, Denver Nuggets head coach George Karl will be our guest, and world champion bull rider Justin McBride will check in as this week's correspondent. First, though, here's what I am burning on.
With that understanding, let me read to you and to the public this statement on behalf of my client, Barry Bonds. The public is going to get the whole truth, not just selectively leaked fabrications from anonymous sources.
Come to find out, an asterisk is the least of Barry Bonds' worries. Even Barry would take an asterisk over a stretch in the can. Of course, an indictment does not necessarily mean that he's guilty, but the feds do not bring one unless they think they have enough to win, or at least enough to get Bonds to plead out. Bonds' myopians have long insisted that he's never tested positive for anything, nor ever committed a crime. Well, according to the indictment, he did test positive for roids, and we're about to find out whether or not he has committed a crime. As always, the cover-up is worse than the crime itself. Had Barry accepted the government's offer of immunity and just told the truth, he would not be in this position. Then he's just a cheater instead of a cheater and a liar and a potential convict. Allegedly. Well, actually, with this indictment, I'm going to change all my allegedlys to probablys. He may not be guilty of perjury or obstruction of justice, but I don't need this to go to trial to know what he is guilty of: extreme arrogance. The arrogance that may have led him to believe that he could get away with cheating and lying to the feds. That's not just arrogant, it's also ignorant, because if there's one thing the feds will not stand for, it's being lied to. He may stay out of the hole because, to quote Charles Barkley, rich people do not go to jail. Well, other than Martha Stewart. He may beat this rap, but he'll never shake it. He may as well just stamp his bigger than it used to be forehead with the word indicted, because that's now as much a part of his legacy as any of the 762 bombs he hit were. With or without a conviction, Major League Baseball's all-time hit king was a tax cheat, and now we're about to find out if its all-time home run king is a perjurer.
How much does it weigh on you to be under investigation by the federal government?
It doesn't weigh on me at all. At all.
Why not?
Because it's just you guys talking. That's all it is. It's just media conversation.
Well, they're the ones investigating. It's not just media.
That's all right, though. Let them investigate.
What's your level of concern?
Let them. They've been doing it this long.
Also, enough about what a sad day this is for Barry Bonds and for Major League Baseball. If by a sad day you mean it's one of the greatest days of Bud Selig's life, then I would agree it's a sad day for MLB. Bud will put on a sad face, but trust me, he is partying hard. The only thing that would have made it better for Bud was if the feds had shut Bonds down in the offseason right before he could run down the hammer. And say this nonsense about how sad it is for Barry. Pathetic, yes, but sad, no. Pathetic is the fact that the guy was already headed straight to the Hall of Fame, and it still wasn't good enough. Pathetic that the guy was already one of the greatest players in the history of the game, but apparently was so jealous of Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa that he started to load up on beef roids to the point where his head grew big enough that he might float right out of the batter's box and right into a hot air balloon race. I half expected Omar Vizquel to be riding in a little basket right below his melon. So stop waxing on about how sad this is. Sad is somebody leaving the gate open and your puppy getting run over by a car. That's not what this is. This is about a guy who had everything in the world and it still wasn't enough, so he cheated and then he lied about cheating. Probably, and now might be facing jail time because of it. He made his steroid-riddled bed, and now he has to lie down in that bed full of syringes and deal with it. That's not sad, that's appropriate. Again, let's not confuse an indictment with a guilty plea or a conviction, though. That still hasn't happened. He'll still get his day in court, but the court of public opinion convened a long time ago. This is not about to change the way anybody sees Barry. They made up their minds a long time ago. Those who believe that he was a cheater and a roid head will certainly pile on now, and those who insisted that he never did anything wrong probably don't even know what getting indicted means or even care about it. You could show those people tape of Greg Anderson shooting Barry full of beef roids in the on-deck circle, and they'd still insist that he didn't do it. You're not changing their minds. They're not going to let the facts or the truth or something as insignificant as a federal indictment get in the way of their myopia. Then you have the people who think that Bonds cheated, but they just don't care. They want to see how big his head could really get and watch him rake. In other words, nobody's coming off their point. Bonds could end up in jail or stoned at the door in Cooperstown, but in the court of public opinion, this changes nothing at all. Everybody had made up their minds about this guy years ago.
Leaf and a limps up, fires downfield into traffic, jump ball incomplete, and that's it. And Arizona will repeat the pattern of a big upset in November. Oregon will be the latest number 2 to go down.
Hey, yo, get off the field. Hey, Oregon fan, it was great while it lasted. USC, Cal, South Florida, and Boston College, though, would like to welcome you to the club. Another number 2 team gets bushwhacked, and the Ducks shot at the national championship, and quarterback Dennis Dixon's crack at the stiff-arm midget blew up the very second that his knee buckled and he hit the turf last night against Arizona. Dixon is the heart and soul of that football team. That sucked the life and the emotion right out of the Ducks. With him, they're electric. They're dynamic. Without him, they're, well, Arizona. Only worse. What? You were expecting a Leaf to bail them out and keep their hopes for a national championship alive? Look, I'm not going to take a shot at Brady Leaf. I'm sure he's a great kid. It's not his fault that he's Ryan's brother. He had no say in the matter. But I know it didn't help. I'm guessing my man, Oregon center Jeff Kendall, would probably like to have this one back.
Now, Jim, in the fashion that is Oregon football, we got to be bold for a second and say this. We will play in a national title game. Everybody listening coast to coast, you can tune in and watch it Thursday. It'll be played in Tucson, Arizona. See, for us, Jim, this season, every game is for the national title. That's been our mentality all season. They've won a couple in a row. They're hot, and they came into Austin last year and thumped us pretty good. But we go by this motto here: respect all, fear none.
Respect all, fear none, and pray Dennis Dixon does not get hurt. The karma is strong, but not strong enough to trump Dixon going down and a Leaf coming in. And it's coming down to the last race in the chase for the championship, and it looks like the 48 has an insurmountable lead. Short of a terrible break, there is no way Jimmy Johnson doesn't catch this one in and go back-to-back, all of which leaves Jeff Gordon shaking his head a bit. I mean, the 24 is a 4-time series champ, and who would have ever thought that his best would not beat somebody else's best? But even the 24 had to admit to me yesterday that's probably the case.
We got to go into it doing what we do every weekend, which is try to go out there and win the race. You know, hey, if they have trouble or run into some kind of a problem, sure, you know, then we've got a shot at it. You know, we've put up some fantastic numbers this year. I mean, we've been consistent. We've had a great average finish, and we've won races. You know, we've done everything to typically win a championship, but those guys have just been that good, and they continue that this weekend, and we come home second, still look at it as a great year.
What I'm saying is the 24 has had an excellent year, but he could drive the wheels right off that race car Sunday, and it still won't matter. Just as it seemed like the sport was entering an era of parity, the 48 might be a budding dynasty.
Jim Rome is burning. Brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.